here, Rosh Hashanah Tafshin Nun Beis, 1992. Now we're going to learn most of the Sikha from that Farbrengen. We're going to skip over here and there a few paragraphs and so on. So the Rebbe starts off, Aleph, Haseda Rogel Bezman Zed, the common custom at this time, like my father-in-law, the leader of our generation, had established this custom, Lahaskir, as called Rabbeinu Nesienu, to mention all our Rabbeim or all the Nesiim, Koil Gam Nesiach Chassidus HaKlolis, also including the leaders and the heads of the general Chassidus, meaning the Baal Shem Tov, Mezritch Magid, Bishmoiseihem, by their names. And the way they are mentioned is going from below to above, meaning the last, and then going up to the first. From the one that's closest, and therefore matters more to us because we have a stronger connection with that. The leader of our generation, my father-in-law, his only child, and therefore took the place of his father, and therefore he took the place of his grandfather, Admur Marashab, and then there was his father, the Rebbe Marashab, before that there is the Rebbe Marash. The idea of the Rebbe Marash is about going initially over that the yahrzeit of the Rebbe Maharash is on the 13th of Tishrei, which is the numerical equivalent of the word Echad. And before the Rebbe Maharash is the Tzemach Tzedek, and the Rebbe mentions that in the next paragraph speaks about the yahrzeit of Tzemach Tzedek is also Gematria Echad 13, except it's 13th of Nisan. And therefore they had a special connection between them. Let's skip over that whole paragraph and go to the last paragraph on the page. V'lifnei prior and higher than the Tzemach Tzedek, Admor Emsoid and Mittler Rebbe. V'lifnei Admor Azokin. Before that was Alter Rebbe, Miyasu Torah Chassidus Chabad, the founder of Chassidus Chabad. V'lifnei Nesiach Chassidus HaKlolis. Before that, the leaders of the general Chassidus, Hamagid Baal Shem Tov, Sheshayachim b'miyuchad l'Chassidus Chabad, even though we just now said that they are connected with the Chassidus HaKlolis, they are the leaders of general Chassidus. Still in all, they have a unique connection with Chassidus Chabad, Ki b'Torah Chassidus HaKlolis, because in the general teaching of Chassidus, Nichleles Gam is also included. Torah's Chassidus Chabad, also the teachings of Chabad Chassidus. Torah's Chassidus Chabad, Nisbara Barchava Torah's Chassidus HaKlolis, and also the reverse, that Chassidus Chabad takes the ideas of the general Chassidus that the Baal Shem Tov taught and Mezritch Magid taught and explains them and elaborates upon them. Additional to this, and this is what's primary, Shemistayemes, V'nishlemes avidosam sharabeseim nesienu lahavis hagula mitzvah shlema de Moshiach kenu poel mamish. That is concluded and completed the avoida of our Rabbeim, our leaders, whose their avoida was to bring the true and complete redemption through Moshiach in actuality. Like it's also emphasized in the well-known story concerning the Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe Marash, shetzrichim Geulah bias Moshiach, that we need to have the redemption and the coming of Moshiach, loyrak beruchnius, not only spiritually, Geulah v'afatzas Torah Chassidus, through the revelation and spreading of Torah Chassidus, because the Tzemach Tzedek said that a certain time that was attested to as would be the time of coming Moshiach, that was with the printing of a Sefer Chassidus. So the Rebbe Marash told them we need to have literal Mashiach. El Begashmi should be in the physical sense. Lamata Ma'asar Tfachim, Bepoil Mamish, below 10 hands breadths in actuality. Again, we're going to skip the next paragraph that begins with Beis. We're going to go on to the paragraph that begins with Gimel, the fourth paragraph on the page. Teichen Avodah Rosh Hashanah, we can connect this with the content of the Avodah of Rosh Hashanah. In Yonish Rosh Hashanah, the idea of Rosh Hashanah is Kemudgish Betfilas Ubruchas Hayom, like it's emphasized in the davening and other brachas that we make throughout the day, whether it's on Kiddush and whether it's Haftarah. Maloich ala olam kuloi bechvaydecha. Reign, be a king over the entire world in your glory. So the Rebbe is going to emphasize throughout a lot of the parts of the Farbrengen over here that it's all about Malchus, which is reigning, but not Malchus the way it's the lowest and last sphere of Atzilus, but actually Malchus the way it is going all the way up to the highest levels. Kvoidecha, your glory, is a very high level. So it's not just Malchus in a low state, but Malchus going up very high. Inyan Aliyas HaMalchus, it's the idea of Malchus ascending. That's the idea of Maloich, Lekeser, to the level of Keser, Ad Lepnimius HaKeser, till the innermost level of Keser, called Kvoidecha, your glory, that's the highest most place. It's not just about Malchus going up, it's also about that Malchus being drawn down, Hashem's kingship being drawn down and being revealed in the world. This is accomplished primarily through the avoid of the blowing of the shofar. The Chazal say before me, Malchus, Psukim that deal with Hashem's kingship, so that you should make me a king over you. How do we make Hashem a king over us? Through the blowing of the shofar. So we see what actually draws down Hashem's kingship, the blowing of the shofar. Until, not just to have the blowing of the shofar that brings down the kingship as it is up till now, but Allah shleimus, to the perfection of the Tkah b'shofar gadol l'cheiruseinu, that you will blow, you should blow in the great shofar for our freedom. Like he concludes when he's completing in Musaf the bracha that deals with shofars, he concludes with that request, the Geulah mitzvah shlema, which will take place in the true and complete redemption. Then our request that we are asking, reign over the entire world in your glory. So even though that's fulfilled all the time, every Rosh Hashanah, but when Moshiach comes, this will be fulfilled in its most perfect way. Well, Pratis Yosef, even more specifically, so the Rebbe is going to work his way backwards. Up till now we were talking about Musaf, we were talking about Birchas Shofris, and we were talking about the blowing of the shofar. Now he's going to go even before the blowing of the shofar. Pratis Yosef, even more specifically, Hachana l'tkiyas shofar, hi ba'amiras hapsukim shelofnei atkiyas, ayidei atakeh v'chol kol achrov. The preparation for the blowing of the shofar is by reciting of those psukim that are in the machzor right before the tkiyas, through both the Baal Tekeh, the one that's blowing the shofar, and not only does he recite those psukim, and also the entire congregation repeats after him. That the conclusion of those psukim that are recited before the blowing of the shofar is b'pasuk, with the pasuk Allah lakim b'sruah Hashem b'kol shofar, arise alakim, with truah, and Hashem with the sound of the shofar. What does that mean? Shu inyan haliyas hamalchus shem alakim. It's about what we spoke about before, that the name alakim, which relates to the level of Sfiras HaMalchus, will go up. That is the content of the avodah of Tkiyas Shofar, the rising up of Malchus, like we said before. But it's not just about the rising up, but it's also about drawing down. Afterwards comes the blowing of the shofar itself. Hatkiyas the miyushav, the tkiyas that one may listen to while they're seated, as opposed to the ones that are blown during Musaf, which one listens to while standing. They're holding Moshe and Esra. Shebehem toiken gimel pam tashrat, gimel pam tashat, gimel pam tarat. We blow 3 times tkiya shvarim through a tkiya, and 3 times tkiya shvarim tkiya, and 3 times tkiya through a tkiya. Well, following the initial blasts of shofar are called tkiyas de miyushav. Afterwards, also gamat tkiyas de me'umad, betfils musaf, betfils lachat, chazar tashatz. The shofar blast of that's done while we're standing, because it's the musaf davening, that both the silent musaf davening and the repetition of the shliach tzibur, that those are all occasions where either everybody has to stand or the chazan has to stand. So they're called tkiyas de me'umad. Shebehem toikim tashrat tashat harat la'acharei amiris hapsukim. Over there we blow tkiya shvarm, tkiya trut, tkiya, etc. after reciting, skip the psukim, skip the parentheses, the malchis. In the musaf we recite 10 psukim that attest to Hashem's kingship, and the reason why we are reciting it is to bring, the Rebbe says in the parentheses, rayis minat Torah in Yom, to bring proofs that the Torah itself says that Hashem is a king. And also, after reciting the psukim of the chroinos, we will blow the shofar tashat tarat. And so too, after saying the 10 psukim that speak about the shofar blast, that their conclusion, and how do we finish it? Skip the parentheses. That the chazan raises his voice while saying these words. Blow in your great shofar for our freedom. So the Rebbe says this phrase that the chazan says in Musaf, or that we also say ourselves in Musaf when we're saying it in the silent Shemoneh Esrei, blow in the great shofar for our freedom. So it has multiple meanings to this. First of all, it's in a language of request. We are asking, please Hashem, blow the great shofar for our freedom. It's also being said in the way of a command. That we're chaviyachol, telling Hashem, you should blow the great shofar for our freedom. Until it's an expression of relating it as a fact. That in this proclamation, the shliach tzibur, the chazan, is actually notifying us and relating to us that this was actually happened, that the Eibishter blew the great shofar for our freedom. The Rebbe goes on in the next paragraph of Behemshech, in continuation to this, Boim gam in Yonei Atfilah Shel Achris, it comes the idea of davenings that follow it. We're saying, let our eyes see when you will return to Tzion with mercy. It says, and it says the prefix vav, we shall see. When you have the prefix vav, b'toisefes vav, shemahapech ha'osid la'ovar. There is a rule that there's something called vav hamahapech. Very often in Lashon Kodesh, a certain word will be seemingly future tense, but by adding a vav, it transforms it that it's past tense. So the Rebbe is saying, V'sachazem na'inenu doesn't just mean, and we shall see in the future, but rather the vav is coming to tell us, and we saw. That it's already happened, the Geulah already came. Because the Geulah already came, so we're already thanking Hashem, saying we're thanking you for this Geulah. Hey, Naidi Shliach Tzibur, both it's the Shliach Tzibur is thanking Hashem. The Hey Naidi Kol Moedim Rabbanim, also through the entire congregation when they are reciting the rabbinic Moedim. When the Chazan recites the Moedim, we recite our own Moedim. This includes also the thanks that all life will praise you and thank you forever. What does this mean? Since it was also fulfilled the request, and you shall inscribe And again, the Rebbe says the vav of "and you shall inscribe" could also mean that you inscribed in past tense, l'chaim tovim kol bnei b'risecha, to a good life, all the children of your covenant. That the Eibishter inscribed us all for a chaim tovim, for a good life. What's a good life? The Geulah mitzvah v'shleim of the true and complete redemption, sheba tia bris chadoshim. That then there will be a new covenant between us and Hashem. That's why it says, Kol bnei b'risecha, all the children of your covenant. But when Moshiach comes, the covenant will be of a totally higher nature, like Yirmiyahu Hanavi says. Similar to what it says, Torah Chadashim Meditatzi, the Rebbe says in a footnote that when Moshiach comes, there'll be a new Torah, the same thing, the bond and the covenant will be of a greater nature when Moshiach comes. Between Hashem and the children of Yisrael, the people, the members of your covenant, the ones that you made a covenant with. Until further in the conclusion of the davening, when we say only tzaddikim will praise your names, the straight ones will sit by your face, meaning it's talking about the times of Mashiach again. After we conclude the davening, we blow again 30 sounds of the shofar, similar to the first set, that when we're still in the sitting mode before Musaf, that we blew a set of 30 sounds. It says in Shulchan Aruch, afterwards, once they've done all of that, Alter Rebbe says, after Musaf, they can all go to their homes in peace. Why is the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur speak about going to their homes in peace? So the Rebbe says, they're going to the true home of every single Yid, in our holy land, in the holy city of Yerushalayim, Bahar HaKodesh, in the holy mountain, Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Holy of Holies. Until we come to the great blast of the shofar, that's the conclusion of Yom Kippur, skip the parentheses. After saying Hashem Hu Alakim 7 times, Shekoy Al Zayin Aliyas, the Spheres HaMalchus La'atik, it's going on 7 ascents of Spheres HaMalchus going up to Atik. It's a conclusion of what we said, the Rebbe says in the parentheses of what we said, Ol Alakim Besruah. We said that before shofar, skip the parentheses. Toikim Tkir Gedoylo, we blast a great blast. And we proclaim Lashana Abba Yerushalayim, in the coming year in Yerushalayim. What does that mean in the coming year? It doesn't mean we have to wait for a year. It means that immediately the redemption will come, and therefore automatically by the time next Yom Kippur comes, we'll be in Yerushalayim. The Rebbe says this is like the Frierdiker Rebbe explains. At the conclusion of the Haggadah, we also say L'shana Abba Yerushalayim. The Frierdiker Rebbe says it doesn't mean we have to wait until next Pesach to go to Yerushalayim, but it means immediately now, at the end of the Seder, we're going to Yerushalayim, and therefore, by the time the next Seder will come along, we'll be in Yerushalayim. This blast of the shofar at the conclusion of Yom Kippur, it's similar to and a preparation for the blast of the great shofar for our redemption. The Rebbe goes on in Ois Dalet, v'yesh lahoisip in the gel inyan the kiyah shofar. We could also add concerning the idea of the actual blowing of the shofar. Shekosher im tkab b'shofar gadol l'tcheirusenu, that the actual blowing of the shofar is also connected with this idea of blowing the great shofar for our freedom. It's brought down in Kabbalah that the blowing of the shofar has to make the face of the Baal Tekeh, of the shofar blower, turn red. That's a Kabbalah thing. It's not halacha and Shulchan Aruch. How does that happen? How does the face turn red? That the principal blood is going up to the face. that the care of the one who's blowing, out of the great effort and energy that he puts into the blowing of the shofar. The Rebbe right away says, not in such a way, heaven forbid, that it somehow will affect negatively the health of the body. But just the opposite. By the blowing of a shofar in such a way that his face turns red, the health of his body is actually increased. Like it's also emphasized in the luminousness on the face of the shofar blower, from his face turning red. Like it's visible to the people, the congregation, that look at the face of the one who blew the shofar after he blew the shofar, like the one who blows the shofar looks at the congregation. This is what's brought down according to Kabbalah, that after the blowing of the shofar, both the one who blew looks at the congregation and the congregation looks at him. And the Rebbe says the expression is used, histaklus daike. Histaklus, the word mistakel is more than re'iyah. There's different words in Lashon Kodesh meaning looking. Histaklus means a gaze, a strong look. That indicates an inner type of look. Really looking deep. That's higher than an ordinary look. Skip the next paragraph. Actually, let's skip over the entire next paragraph. So too, it's the main thing concerning blow the great shofar for our freedom. In continuation to this, as we are also looking at the face of the one who we are davening about, who are we saying that he should blow in the great shofar? We're asking Hashem to blow in the great shofar for our redemption. So in other words, just like when the physical Baal Tekeah blows the shofar, we are looking at his face. The same thing when Moshiach comes and the Eibishter is going to blow the great shofar, we're going to look at his face, Hashem's very essence, in such a way that your master will not be covered in any garments, and your eyes will see your master, Geulah, the true and complete redemption. I say, and great emphasis in this generation and this year. This generation is the final generation of the exile, the first generation of the Geulah. That over there was already completed the study of that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi taught, who is the one that actually said, he's the one that made the statement that your eyes will see your master and your teacher. Mishnah, he compiled and he authored the 6 orders of the Mishnayos, or Pirusheim, and all the commentaries on the Mishnayos are included in what he authored, through the diligent student that's in all the generations. This also includes that the Alter Rebbe says in Hilchos Talmud Torah that Mishnah is about the halacha. So therefore, these days that we have Shulchan Aruch and all of its commentaries, that is something that's included in Mishnah. And let's skip over to the bottom of the page, the last 2 words on the page, Va'ad la'chidush, until the new revelation, ha'ikri, the main chidush, and the main revelation is shekalu kol hakitzim, that all the foretold ends of time already were completed, and we already came to all the foretold ends that Moshiach has to come. We already did tshuva. We already completed the shining of the buttons that the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke about, that when you're standing in a parade in front of the king, you got to make sure even the buttons are shining. And we're standing ready for the true and complete redemption. Let's skip this paragraph to the paragraph afterwards. Ois Vav. Al pi zeh, muvenas hashayches hamyuchedes to Rosh Hashanah b'far Hashanah zu la'gula mitzvah shleim. According to this is understood the unique connection of Rosh Hashanah to the, especially this year that Rebbe was speaking out earlier, to the true and complete redemption. It was actually supposed to come. Skip the parentheses. When we said Kav Shofar Gadol in Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, in the first day of Rosh Hashanah, it was supposed to come. Moshiach was supposed to come. The great shofar was supposed to be heard. And for a reason that's not clear and known and it's not understood whatsoever, the Rebbe says. The redemption didn't even come. Not only didn't it come after we said Kabbat Shever Gadol the first day of Rosh Hashanah, it didn't even come when we said Kabbat Shever Gadol L'Cherusein the second day. But the Rebbe is at the Farbrengen towards the end of the second day of Rosh Hashanah, B'chol and still in all V'amdeinu, B'suda, B'siyumam, V'chaisma Shal Beizim Mei Rosh Hashanah, Sh'nechshavim Kemech Ad Aruch, standing in the meal. That's at the conclusion of the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, that they are considered like one long day, the Chazal say. Harezes man mesugul b'yoser. This is a very auspicious time. Shetovei hagula amitas v'ashlem v'poel mamish, that the true and complete redemption should come in actuality, l'yem shekulei aruch, to the day that's called entirely long, similar to the idea that Rosh Hashanah is called, the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah called one long day. But pashtus, and simply put, should be tzuma shel suda zu, in middle of this meal. Nichtas Moshiach Tzidkenu. Moshiach Tzidkenu is going to enter the meal at the Farbrengen at the end of Rosh Hashanah. Va'ayimrim loy, and we will tell Moshiach, Shalom Aleichem Moshiach Tzidkenu. Welcome Moshiach. U'b'meila nasa hemshech the suda zu ba'suda lasid lavi, and automatically the continuation of this meal continues in the Suda of Mashiach's time. Shakadosh Baruch Hu magish l'chol echad v'echad mitanu b'tzoichi klal Yisrael, that Hashem serves each and every one of us amongst the whole Klal Yisrael. Hasuda the Levyasan v'shoyr abar v'yayim v'shumar, the meal of the Levyasan and the wild ox and the wine that's been held in special keeping, safekeeping since Sheish Mei Bereshis. V'oid v'ad l'siyuma b'chsamazna, until the conclusion in the benching. Not the conclusion of the bench, but the conclusion of the meal. When we bench, that you will eat and be satisfied, and you will thank Hashem upon the good land that Hashem gave you. Because we will be reciting the benching after all the Yidden return to our holy land. All its inhabitants are upon it. Then we fulfill all the mitzvahs in its perfect state. Skip over to Zayin. Another additional thing, at the conclusion of the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, its connection to the third day of Tishrei. Shlishi b'Tishrei u'tzayim Gedalia. The third day of Tishrei is the fast of Gedalia. This is connection with Rosh Hashanah of the fast of Gedalia is even more connected, according to the opinion that says that really the whole event with the assassination of Gedalia ben Achikim, the last governor of Yehuda, was that it actually took place on Rosh Hashanah, but we just pushed it off to the 3rd of Tishrei. It's explained in a different place, a different sikh. The Rebbe talks about it, the connection of the event of the fast of Gedalia with the kingdom of the house of David, and the al shahaya b'ifim bilti ratzi hepacham shalom. It was in a negative manner, the opposite of truth and peace. Until it was established as a fast day. But its goal and its perfection is in the renewal of the kingdom of the house of David through the King Moshiach. It's also hinted in the number 3, the 3rd day of Tishrei, that comes as a continuation to the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, like it says, He will make us live from 2 days, going on the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah. In the third day, He will raise us up, and meaning like Tchias HaMesim, we will live before Him. It's connected with the third redemption, the third Beis Hamikdash. Harambam, and since then it will be nullified, the fast day, and will be transformed to rejoicing and happiness, like the ruling of the Rambam calls. All these fasts will be in the future nullified when Moshiach comes. Not only that, there will in the future be days, holidays and days of celebration and joy and happiness. Like it says, so said Hashem. That the fast of the seventh month, meaning Tzayim Gedalia, will be for the house of Yehuda for rejoicing and happiness, and as holidays, because they love truth and peace. So in continuation with this meal, we have to prepare a greater meal. Skip the parentheses, Avur Shlisha B'Tishrei, for the sake of the third of Tishrei, that therefore we can already think about the great Suda of Mashiach. The Rebbe said, in the footnote that they bring, that the Rebbe said that since there's some people that came to the Farbrengen, that the Rebbe said that was already after the end of Yom Tov, so they are already after Havdalah and so on. So they could actually go out and prepare for this meal. And in other places, obviously the Rebbe is going to talk about this year, the third of Tishrei is actually Shabbos. So we already have the transformation of the fast day into days of rejoicing. So of course it has to do with Mashiach. And the will of the Shem should be, and that's what's the primary thing. She's kaim b'poel psakdin the Talmud voskum dereinu zem man malked rabbanon. That should be fulfilled in actuality, the ruling of the diligent student in our generation. Who are kings? These are the Chachamim, and the head of them, the leader of our generation, my father-in-law, the leader of this generation, the one who filled the place, took up the place of the Arabim Anasim of the generations prior to this. Moshiach Tzidkenu Tzarech Love, take from Miyad Kipshutai. Moshiach Tzidkenu has to come immediately, and immediately in the literal sense. V'chein Rosh Tevis, the Miyad, the Rosh Tevis of the word Miyad is Moshe. Moshe is Geulah Rishnu, Geulah Achron. It says that he is the first Redeemer and the final Redeemer. Yud of Miyad is Yisrael, which goes on the Baal Shem Tov, Shekoil Gam Kol Nasi Chassidus, includes all the other leaders of Chassidus. And Daled of Miyad is for the word David. Malcolm Mashiach was called King Mashiach. The Pashtus, and simply put, take from Miyad Mamish Meschiemus Bakasha, immediately becomes fulfilled the request, Chabash Evergadol Cheresenu, Sonus Kabas Kol Yisenu, blow in the great shofar for our freedom, and raise up a banner to gather in our exiles from Arbakam Sa'arts, Nigolim, Miskapsim, Kovnei Yisrael, that from the four corners of the earth are redeemed and collected all Jewish children, all Jewish people. In the reign of Vizkanenu, with our youth and our elderly, B'Banenu, V'Neisenu, and our sons and our daughters, V'Kasvam, V'Zhavam, Itam, and their silver and gold are with them. Sholol Rav, the great spoils of war. Skip the parentheses. Hein begashmis, hein beruchnis, both materially and spiritually will have great spoils. Kol inyana avodish misadim alav v'yira kasv v'zav, all matters of the service of Hashem that's based on love and awe, which are also the spiritual idea of silver and gold. V'chein sharshim b'das, m'kara midas, and they're rooted in das, which is the source of love and awe, the source of the emotions. Kol gam hashlemis b'mal arz deis Hashem, including that we will have the perfection of Mashiach's times, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem, that we said knowledge is the source of love and awe. Even before the continuation and completion of Rosh Hashanah, which the perfection and the continuation of Rosh Hashanah, when it's fully completed, is on the Yom Tov of Sukkot. that Sukkot is connected with going out of Mitzrayim. It's to commemorate the clouds of glory that surrounded the Yidden when they went out of Mitzrayim. B'siyumay, at the conclusion, we merit the fulfillment of the promise. Like your days going out of the land of Mitzrayim, I'll show you wonders. Then we'll merit to sit in the sukkah that's made up of the hide of the Levyasan immediately mamash.